Another year of great games has come and gone, and you still haven't played some of the best games that came out in 2021. Or maybe you did and already forgot a bunch of stuff. Either way, I've got you covered. I'm Brian Altano, your guide to helping you power your way through your backlog. Today we're prepping you with the knowledge you need to run and gun your way through Housemarque's Returnal. This is IGN's Game Prep, presented by Truth.
I've crashed on Atropos. I survived, but Helios did not.
According to HowLongToBeat.com, Returnal takes roughly 21 hours to finish and around 57 hours total for completionists to 100% the game. And the planet Atropos is going to do everything it can to extend your stay. But worry not, Game Prep's got you covered. Let's start off with everything you need to know before you start a new game.
Such strange markings.
Returnal is a roguelike game, like Dead Cells, The Binding of Isaac, or Hades, meaning that every time your character dies, you'll start your next run from the very beginning. Not only that, but the world, materials, items, and weapons you encounter along the way will be completely different each time. So look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, this game is pretty hard, especially when you're first starting out. But don't let that get you down, because each run is an opportunity to learn about new enemies and environments. Each time a run ends, your money, weapons, and items will be lost, but you do get to keep some permanent unlocks that you find along the way. These include the Atropian Weapon Charger and the Atropian Blade, which usually have distinct cutscenes that trigger when you unlock them, so keep an eye out for those. As you progress deeper into the planet Atropos, you'll notice that each cycle will get longer, sometimes lasting around 2 to 3 hours at a time. But thankfully, Housemarque recently added a suspend cycle option. While you used to have to leave the game running if you were midway through a run, you can now suspend your game from the pause menu, so if you need to take a break, suspend, and then you can pick up right where you left off when you come back.
Scan is indicating potential for suit augmentation.
Silphium is a green resource that you'll find across Atropos that heals Selene. You'll find it in consumable vials and chunks that you can pick up along your journey. You'll also come across Silphium Resin, which increases your suit's integrity. Once you collect enough resin, your max health will increase, which is essential to surviving the later stages of a run. As you clear through combat areas, you'll come across relics and creatures that can enhance or hurt Selene's abilities for that particular run. Artifacts are positive modifiers that will make your runs easier. For example, you might find the Resin Enhancer, which lowers the amount of resin you'll need to upgrade your health bar. Or maybe you'll pick up the Energy Manipulator that briefly increases your protection by 20% each time you use a consumable item. Parasites, on the other hand, are a little more situational. These are creatures that attach themselves to Selene, giving her one benefit and one detriment to her abilities. For example, the Atrophying Rotnose allows you to find more salvage from enemies, but also cuts your melee damage in half. You should take a moment to read each parasite's description before picking them up and consider how their pros and cons will affect your run. There are other resources that you'll want to keep track of along your journey to give Selene an advantage. Obolites are small glowing orbs that drop when you defeat enemies. Now, these are spendable currency that you can use to buy items, artifacts, weapons, and a whole lot more at shops in each biome. Atropian keys let you unlock things like red chests and doors, which usually have something useful inside. So don't be afraid to use them, but do keep in mind that you may not have enough for each lock along your run. Ether is a permanent resource that carries over between runs. You can deposit it at the pillar before entering the forest at the start of each run to unlock a new artifact that you'll find in all future runs. You can also spend Ether to bypass challenges and cleanse malignant items. Sometimes in a run, you'll come across a chunk of Silphium, a key, or an Obolite deposit that doesn't quite seem right. These malignant items have a similar dilemma as Parasites. You'll gain the resource in front of you, but they have a chance of inflicting Selene with a malfunction, which can range from a mild inconvenience to run-destroying. For example, a malfunction might cause you to take damage whenever you dash, or cause Obolites to disappear much faster. As mentioned before, you can cleanse malignant items by spending Ether, but it's a tough resource to gather, so think twice before using it. You and Selene are up against insurmountable odds on the ancient hostile landscape of Atropos. One wrong move, incorrect power-up pickup, or weapon swap can end a run in Returnal, which is enough to make you very, very anxious. Anxiety is something we all battle here and there, and it's something everyone has different ways to cope with. Now, for me, I used to smoke because I wasn't great at handling things when I got stressed or anxious, and since quitting smoking, I've learned how to get through tough times without nicotine or cigarettes. So I just want to thank Truth for powering this episode and for helping to get the word out about the connection between vaping, nicotine, and mental health. Vaping nicotine can mess with your head because it can amplify feelings of anxiety. So whether it's cigarettes or vaping, nicotine is nicotine, which is the last thing you or Selene needs on this run. So keep your wits about you because it's time to move on to combat.
My sidearm.
Returnal features an adrenaline system, so every time you kill an enemy without being hit, you'll increase your adrenaline level. Each level gives you bonus stats, which include increased melee attack damage or extra projectiles from your shoulder-mounted drone. As soon as you take damage though, those bonuses go right down to zero, so be careful around traps and other enemies if you want to maintain your adrenaline.
I remember you.
Selene doesn't have the largest health pool, so you'll need to keep moving to survive. The more you stay still, the more enemies will close in on you, so keep shooting, sprinting, and dodging around the area. When in doubt, check the indicator ring around Selene to show nearby threats. Now, your dash gives you a brief window of invincibility, which can be really useful for dodging melee attacks or projectiles. However, the timing is tight and it has a very short cooldown, so it won't save you from much unless you use it thoughtfully. Once you have the Atropian weapon charger, your weapons gain alternative fire. It's usually a very strong attack that can help you take down larger enemies much faster. It does require a recharge after use, so you may not want to use it on every big encounter. When reloading your weapons, you'll notice a progress bar with a target in the middle under your reticle. Pressing the fire button when the progress is aligned allows you to pull off a much faster reload and get right back to shooting. This is particularly helpful on weapons with small magazines or long reload times. The Overgrown Ruins are the starting location for Returnal, and this is where Selene crashes her ship and your adventure begins every time. There are many early permanent unlocks to gather in this area, like the Hermetic Transmitter and the Atropian Blade, so it's worth exploring different paths as you progress through this wet and oppressive forest. You'll run into Kerberon frequently here, which leap forward if you are close by and shoot out a line of slow projectiles if you're at a distance. They'll also start glowing and move their tentacles before attacking. Now, many enemies have similar animations going forward, so recognizing their tells is super important to survive. You can also find Selene's childhood home in this biome, which is pretty weird when you consider she grew up on Earth, but once you've found the house keys, you can enter whenever it has lights on inside, which will unlock a new artifact every visit. Once you're done exploring the Overgrown Ruins, you'll run into Phrike, the first boss in the game. They have 3 phases of combat indicated by their 3 health bars. You will need to dodge all of Phrike's various attacks while maintaining a consistent barrage of bullets. If you can, aim for their head for increased damage. Most of their directed attacks can be dodged by strafing left and right, but be careful of this orange web of projectiles above you since they can come down on your head to deal damage. Phrike can also cast a strong laser beam either from top to bottom or side to side. Watch out for their combo once you reach phase 2. Whenever they cast a beam into the ground with their hands, a red ring will spread across the ground, getting larger and larger. While the beam is expanding, Phrike will charge towards you suddenly to swipe you with a melee attack. Your best bet will be to dodge into the circle at the same time as dodging Phrike's swipe, or alternatively getting far away from the circle early on so that you only have to dodge one thing at a time once Phrike swoops in. Things will become more intense as you enter the 3rd phase. Phrike will now have multi-stage attacks and some new ones that might be quite difficult to get through, but if you keep moving and dash at the right moments, you shall emerge victorious! With our tips and tricks, and through sheer determination, you'll get through Returnal in no time, I promise. Thanks again to Truth for sharing your own pro tip to keep us steady as we battle through those intense moments. To learn more and find mental health resources, including how to quit, head to thetruth.com. And for more on Returnal, stay tuned to IGN.com. Thanks for watching.